Hello everyone. Today's topic for me is about advanced and engaging UI in Flutter. As advanced, I mean, is something which we don't really take care of it, like we don't usually keep it in mind. For example, making advanced UI like custom painting or advanced animation, for me is not advanced. It's challenging, but it's not advanced things. Like you can just spend the time and make it, and at the end you have it and you can reuse it. But keep in mind some principle of the software engineering in UI is something you can call it advanced. Interrupt me if you have any question. We are not that many people, so we can have a two-way interaction. My references are these two. My main reference is Software Engineering by Pressman. Is this book I read during my bachelor. It's an amazing book. You can start using your software product from the beginning to the success. If you just respect the rules and methodology and everything regarding software engineering. And the other is material design for the Google that I'm going to use. There are essentially two basic approach to design. First is the artistic ideal, which I don't think we developer have it much. But the second one is the solving a problem for a customer. Let's ask each time whenever you make or create any screen or any UI, you need to solve a customer problem, not what do you think or what the designer think or the product team. You can communicate with do we have a UI designer here or all of us are developers? Okay, but you can communicate with them, just try to solve the problem for the user, not anyone else. There are three golden rules. The first one is place the user in control. The user has to control everything that they can see in your application. Reduce the user's memory load. User shouldn't think about anything. We have different kind of users, so with different type of memory and any different type of vision or imperative that we are discussing about later. Make the interface consistent. That's the three main golden rules that we should keep in mind. And each one of them we are going to categorize and see what are the rules are. A system that reads the user mind is the first rule. It knows what I want to do before I need to do it and makes it very easy for me to get it done. For example, I open the Uber Eats. What I want to do, I don't want to request for a ride. We have two Uber Eats application. One, the super app, which you can order your food and order request for the ride, which I don't like it because I don't want to order my food in the Uber ride application. My main goal is just go to the application and just pick up the food and just bring it to me. That's my main goal for the application. But if I have a super application, I try to not use it because it's not what I want. I have to go to a section which is, just only for the Uber Eats. And these are the two actions that I don't like it. So I don't know think about this, they thought about this, I don't know, but it doesn't make me feel good that this application does anything else that I don't want. But place the user in control is one of the categorized to some categories. Define interaction mode in a way that does not force a user into unnecessary or undesired action. For example, this example from the book is if we have a spell checker interaction in our application. For example, if we have a chat application, this screenshot from Telegram. You just I don't want to have, like, for example, I chat with other language in English. We say Fringlish, or I think there is a similar thing in other non-Latin alphabetic that we use. So I don't need the grammar check for those things. For example, we have a Persian alphabetic, so we use the English for that sometimes. So I don't need any grammar. I'm just going to just turn off the spell checker, and I don't want to be in this state. So I have to be in charge of this application to have this unnecessary interaction. Provide the flexible interaction. Our user, we are Flutter developers. We have different bunch of application, different type of platforms that runs everywhere, from web application, desktop, mobile, and everything else. Keep in mind that we have different type of tools, like a mouse, keyboard, and everything. You have to think about that and develop something that respects those rules. For example, we have a tab. It just changed a focus node. We have to have some focus node in our application that takes care of this interaction of the user. This is the example. We're going to check everything else here, but only thing that we have to think here is just pressing a tab button should go to the next focus node. What I do here is just I don't know how to turn back. We have a node. Do you see? Okay. We have a focus node here. Where is it? The focus node, for example, password focus node for the password input. And at the end of the interaction with our email, we need to go to the next one. So on editing complete, we have to go to the focus node password and the request for that. That's the simple things that you have to do it every time in your text field. If you don't do it, sometimes it works, but sometimes Flutter doesn't recognize which one is the next focus node. But you have to keep this focus node every time with your text field. We're going to talk about everything else later. The next one is allow user interaction to be interruptible and undoable. If you have a progress indicator, like circle progress indicator, it takes too much time. Sometimes the server doesn't respond, or the network issue, or anything else. It takes too much time. We have to have a retry button after some second of retry. If you see here, for example, it takes like 10 seconds or anything that you want, just make something else instead of just a progress bar. That makes the user be in a, what does this application do on the back end? He doesn't know anything about the network issue, server issue, or anything else. Just he wants to know what's happening right now in your screen. So place user in control. If that doesn't work, server doesn't work, make a substitution, like retry button or anything else, or go back to the previous screen or anything else. Or if the user did by mistake deleted a message or something, place a snack bar? Do you want to undo your action or anything else? Because we all make mistake in our application. The next one is streamline interaction as a skill level advance. We have some beginner user, we have intermediate, is exactly like learning a language. We have the user that knows your application as a beginner, mid, intermediate, and advanced. As progress your user progress in your application, you need to show them a feature. Here I made a pizza builder. All of this example and sample you see here is all made by ChatGPT. Thanks to it, I couldn't make it on time. We have a pizza builder in Domino application. For example, we make a pizza, for example, mushroom and a steak on topping. And I did pineapple, but I will delete it. And then after that, I click on the save button here to save your pizza for your next order. So the user don't want to make this topping the next time. They just go ahead and check your save pizza. This is something cool because as the beginner user, they make their pizza from every time they're making in a topping and stuff. They take time for them, but they will learn that there is a favorite button here that I can save this pizza for next time. Reduce the user memory load. That's the next golden rule. This is the most important that we are going to discuss. A well-designed user interface does not tax a user's memory because the more a user has to remember, the more error-prone the interaction will be. As much as we keep the user as memory as possible, even though the user, they don't even notice that they are navigating between your screen. You have to show them that you are navigating your button from here to a new screen. I will show you later what does that mean. These categories are related to reduce demand on short-term memory. For example, here we have a register form for the user. We all have the autofill from Chrome, autofill from Android or iOS. So you have to put some information in Flutter that these are your name, these are your email, and the password. And the next time that the user save their information, they will be autofilled. And the autofill hints here, for example, this is for the name input. We just put the autofill.name. That makes your application remember that is the name input. And the browser and the OS will understand what does this text do. And the same for the email and the password, and they will be auto-filled the next time. And the other thing is just that we mentioned, the focus node and everything else. And also keyword type. For the name, you have to put the properties for the text input type.name. That's it. It's not that big. It's just you need to fill out some properties here to make the user less using the user's memory. The next one, establish meaningful defaults. If we have some defaults in our application, for example, age, font size, or color, just keep in mind your average user. For example, the average age is like 30 or anything else. Just put the default for the average user. That doesn't make the user memorize everything. The next one is the visual layout on interface. The example I made for this category is the void check in Canada. You have an application for your payment. You want to do auto deposit or anything. You just fill the form, fill the some account number, transit number, or branch number, but the user, they don't know what are these number. You have to put the image of the void check here and just teach them what are the numbers are and what do they mean, like which one is your account number, which one is your transit number. And by that means that it means like user don't need to memorize everything. Make the interface consistent. This is the another golden rule. Consistency in interface helps user understand and navigate interface more effectively. I made example for two applications. The first one, if you want to learn what are the bad rules and design pattern, just check the WhatsApp. Is the worst application in design and the UI UX. Here you see whenever I select the message here, you have, it's awful. Like, first of all, you don't have your menu here. You have to raise your hand to the top right. You usually take your hand like this, and you have to go up there to click on the three-dot menu to have all of the information you want to do with your message. But Telegram does it perfectly if you just click only one tab. This is also you have to select. If you do the one tab, it doesn't work. You have to hold the message to select. And this is another issue. If you select your message, is just go to the selection mode. Not, I want only to interact with one message. I don't want to select my message. That's another issue. But anyway, if you go here, see one issue that you can notice is just you have icons here, but you have some text here. You don't have icons for your text. I have to read all of them. Usually, we're gonna memorize the visual things in our application, like the icon or anything that helps the user, doesn't read much or less interaction or less memories that we mentioned before. For the Telegram, we have icon is so consistent. You have the text here, and you don't have anything else or just three-dot menu or anything else. The next issue, if you select two message here, first of all, it's a different action from the previous one. You don't have any three-dot menu. You just have only some icons, which is cool. This one is consistent. But if you see the Telegram, you see that your messages are selected and you are in a selection mode. You are not in another mode. You are not in a one message mode or anything else. The other things that I want to mention, if you see forward here, I'm going to discuss this later. Just keep this in mind that we have a forward in the bottom and we have another forward in top. That's not the double things that Telegram did. It's another feature, but WhatsApp doesn't have. I'm going to discuss this later, what's the reason behind this. Okay, we're going to talk about user interface design pattern. The UI design patterns comes with the action to solve the problem, to solve design issued problems. There are three main and common design issue: response time, and user help facility, and error handling. Response time is just whenever your server takes too much time to load the interaction. And the good things that mentioned here in software engineering book is just a consistent 1 second response time is preferable to a response time that varies between 1 millisecond and 2.5 seconds. If your response time change a lot between these two numbers, the user is confused about your response time. And user help facility. You have to onboard your user to your application. For example, if you have new feature that comes to your application, you have to get your user on board with new feature. You have to help them to know the new feature are, what type of feature that they can use in your application. Or if you change something that which is really, key function of your application, you need to let them know what type of changes that you made. Error handling. You have to describe the problem for your user and the solution for them. For example, if you have network issue, let them know. If they don't have Wi-Fi or anything else, let them know that they have this type of issue and how can they fix it. We have accessibility in our design pattern, which is the most important one, I think. You have different type of user with different background, different ethnic, and different type of people who has some vision issue, low vision, blindness, hearing imperative, cognitive imperative, motor imperative, or situational disabilities, such as a broken arm. We talk about broken arm, for example, my arm is broken, my hand doesn't work as before. So I have my phones in my hand, which is like this way. I can't put my finger up to the top to hit the forward button. I have it here. Just it's so easy for me because forward button is the most common button in the message. I want to forward a message to someone else. I have it here. I don't need to go up to the top to hit the forward button. That's another good thing about Telegram. Do you know how this made? A11Y is the first letter and the last letter, and these are the 11 letters between them. And we have L10N or I something N for internationalization. And this is the abbreviation. Accessibility makes your user variety feels good about your application. What do we have to keep in mind? You have to have your standards which are mentioned in W3C and ensuring high contrast for readability. That comes for the theming and the design pattern for your material design and your Cupertino design. Let's see what are the accessibility that we can take care of. The first one is just make a scalable font and a screen reader support. What do we have here is just a simple text message that if we change the text size, everything in your application should do the same thing. How can we do that? It's just you put your media query and just text a scaler, and you just change your scalability with the user interaction. If the user wants a bigger font, no problem. They can go to your setting, your application setting, and make your application bigger. Or if there is also a text scalable comes from the OS. Each OS has the text scalability. If I have a low vision, I'm going to just change that one. I don't want to go to each application to change it. You can also get the text scalability from the OS to make the perfect design for your user, that everything should change. The next one is the talkback. A screen reader support for each platform. You should take care of this one. If you want your user to feel good about your application, you have to put some semantics on your widgets. We have email, name, age, and password for our registration. We put our semantic here. We have a semantic for email field, which has a hint. It says like a simple enter your email address. You can also put the localization here. I didn't do that just to make these things more easier, but you can put your localization as French or any other language. And the semantic for your other widgets here. For example, H field, we have a drop menu. Let's see what, this is the screen, what was it? VoiceOver from MacBook that understand your Flutter application. Let's see what does it do. If you don't have semantic, none of this works.
Register age field age, select your age from the drop-down menu, register button, register tab to register. Group, heading level 2.
I'm going from the register, that's the page, to the bottom for each one of them from the VoiceOver from MacBook. The quality is not that.
Name field name, edit text.
This one is the name field name, which says like it's a name field name and edit text.
A-L-I, space, Y-A-Z-D-I. Email field email, edit tag, A-A-Y-A-Z-I. U-F-L-T-R-N-T-L. Flutter, D-E-D. Age field age, select your age from the drop-down menu.
This is the hint that I wrote for our semantic.
Button. You are currently on a button. To click red pop-up menu, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8.
You don't need to put every number for your drop menu. Flutter does it for yourself.
20, 26, 27. Group. You are age field age 27. Password field.
Sorry?
I have a question. So this semantics is for users that have environments, right?
Yes.
So if we have to use this for them, because you earlier talked about using text form field in terms of errors and the like. So is there a way to combine, or is it better we use just semantics so it does the same quality in terms of text form? You know, text form field you have it handles errors, it does literally everything. So instead of using text form field, you should use semantics. Is that?
I don't know. I didn't quite understand, but yeah.
Instead of using text form field, because usually you use a form field when you want to fill in registration.
Yeah, it's just a text form field. You just put your semantic on top of your text field. You have a text form field, and on top of it, you just put your semantic widget. It's just a widget you put on top of your widget, anywhere you want.
Password, secure edit text. Register button, register.
Doesn't read the password.
You are currently on a button.
I don't know how they can understand what they're typing, but it doesn't read the password. Okay.
Localist 56. Register age.
Why I'm not in the...
Localist 56. Register age field age.
The next one is internationalization. That also from the first letter and the last and the amount of letter here, I18N, and localization L10N. 6 minutes? 15 is fine. Create user interface for different locals and language involves more just translation. What do we have to keep in mind? There are many things. The first one is, I made an example for my language is Persian. We have a right to left language as Arabic or any other language. What do we have? If you change your local to Persian, everything should turn to the right to left. From the floating action bottom here, it goes to the left. From the row that you have from the left side, go to the right side, or even the debug banner. And everything is just, that's a good thing about Flutter, makes it perfect for your localization. But you have to keep it in your mind. If you have a row, you have to do something like this. like a size box with the widths if you want to make a space between your two widgets. What can it make it worse is just put your padding as a left or right or top or bottom. If you have a padding, you can also use symmetric and just do the horizontal padding or vertical padding, but don't ever use left or right padding. It doesn't work for this kind of application. I know if maybe you don't have any user with the Persian localization, but it's just a best practice that you have to keep in your mind. Use the best widget for your application for any internationalization. Maybe in the future your application gonna be released there or any Arabic countries. And there are many things, other things like date that can be different in different countries or anything like a currency. You can also use other markets for each countries. You have to, first, there are some points here. Extracting text string from the code into resource file, like a localization. Designing layout that can accommodate different text lengths and direction that I mentioned right now. Just other stuff that I mentioned already, adopt date time and number formats. These are all different in any language, in any countries. There are many things else also that I don't have time to just cover. The other thing is just the language that you're talking with your user, with your customer. This is not the developer team, it comes for the product team. Make a better language for any, for example, you have holidays. I read about this on material design. You can also use holiday instead of like, I don't know, Christian holidays or something like that, because it's only for the Christian people. Or other things like that, it doesn't relate it to one local people. The material design is our first and the best design pattern that we have in our Flutter development or any other development, web or Android or anything. You can also use material design for your iOS side. But it's also encouraging to use Cupertino for that. A comprehensive design system that provides guidelines for creating user interfaces that are visually appealing, consistent, and accessible. These are the main concept of the material design. User-centered design, focus on user need that we discussed. Consistency, if you use only material components, you have the consistency anywhere. If there is a material, we have material 3 right now, but maybe in the future we have material 4. And you just can upgrade your material design with only one properties. You have consistency again in the future also. Responsive and adaptive layout, which has you have many different type of components that you can keep in mind your responsiveness and the adaptiveness. We discuss this later, but you have many different type of desktop or foldable mobile or anything like user wants to just make the windows smaller for their multitask or anything else. You have to take care of all of this. It's a little bit, overwhelming, but it's the best for your user. This is the adaptive scaffold from the Flutter. We don't want to go ahead and check this, just you can see how is responsive to your Windows size. But you need to keep in mind you have to have a design for compact, medium, expand, large, and extra large as your requirement. Usually if you have only 3 size is enough for your requirement. Accessibility again and assistive technology in material design. A screen reader support that we talked before for semantic widget, color constraint, and scalable fonts. You have to respect your user choice for your application color. You don't need to put the color for each one of them. Just you need to use the color that in material theory that's announced. You have to get the seed color to your application, and material design do it for you. If you don't do the seed color, you have to make the ratio for each one of them to see how look like your color in different type of background, in different type of surfaces. So you have to have a good ratio. There is a tools that you can put your color in it and have a ratio to see if the color contrast is fine or not for some people with the low vision. Do's and don'ts in our material design. Use labels, semantic, and focus note. We already discussed. Use seed color. We already just mentioned it. Have a seed color makes your application perfect. For example, if the user have a dynamic color, they change the dynamic color based on their wallpaper. You can have it with the only single package that comes from the OS system that user made this color as their default. Consider dynamic color from user chosen color. In case of custom color, use tools to make sure contrast ratio is okay. If you want to use your custom color, for example, your logo, or you have a many applications have their own primary color, so you can have it on top of the primary color, but also you can have a seed color. Don't change anything else. But if you want to change, just you have to keep in mind it has a good ratio of the contrast for the surface, for the background, or anything else. Use flexible components for magnifier that change size to fit their content. If you have, for example, some people use their Chrome as like a big fonts, you have to have a flexible component that doesn't have it's changed based on the font size, and you don't have a stack or overflow issue or anything else. The main don't is just only one. Don't hard code anything, such as text, color, size, style. If you want to have a custom stuff, you have to have make sure your custom you respect the rules first, like what I mentioned, like a contrast or any accessibility issue, and then make a reusable component or change anything in theming part. If you want to change for example, a snack bar behavior, go ahead and change it in the theme. Do not change it in one specific part. Yes? 5 minutes? Okay, it's almost done. The last thing that we want to discuss is and also this is from the material design site. You can also check it later. It has a good best practices that you can see and do's and don'ts. Here, for example, it says like ensure floating elements have sufficient contrast with surface. For example, if you just remove the elevation here, you cannot differentiate between your floating action bottom. It's just not visible. It's not physical things. I don't feel this bottom here. I just make a mistake to have the same things here. So make sure these are all right. The last thing is about motion. Makes a UI expressive and easy to use. It's not about the beauty. Motion and the transition and animation is about the purposeful motion. You don't need a fancy animation or anything or fancy custom painting. You have to have these three keep in mind. If you don't need to make a fancy things. Purposeful motion that makes your user interaction better by providing feedback and maintaining continuity. I'm going to make an example after this. Natural and responsiveness. Motion should be natural and responsiveness, like a real-world physics. For example, a button, I put it down, it shouldn't go up. It's not a physics real world. Expressive and efficient. Motion should be expressive but not distract from functionality. Don't use motion without any purpose or to make your application more complicated. Here we have like 30 seconds from the material team. I'd like you to see the transition. Why do we need transition here or in our application between the pages?
Here is an example of a common transition that goes from an inbox list to a full screen email. Let's see what happens if we transition between these two screens with no motion. This offers no hints to the user for how one screen relates to the next. It creates a jarring and confusing experience. Now let's see what happens when we use a material transition. This clearly shows which list item has been tacked on and how it relates to the expanding email view. By seamlessly transforming the list container into a full screen view, it makes it crystal clear that they're just both two representations of the same thing. Studies show that transitions like this reduce the time and number of interactions users need to make and fulfill a task.
As you saw, it's just about the user memory load. And you don't need anything else. It's, outside of the golden rules. User don't know, for example, what was the transition, what did I click on, which email did I click. So you can make a transition between your emails, like to expand your email to a full screen mode. Here we have an example. There is a code lab, a good code lab. You can also check it out later. Let me do the slideshow. This code lab covers everything that you need for motion. If you click one of your news here, it expands the like a compat mode to the full screen mode. And what do you need is just an animation package only. You just need to open use this open container function widget here in the animation package. And whenever you want to have an open builder, goes to this mail view page, and it covers everything else for you. So it's not really complicated things to do. It's really simple, and by using this package, you can have a better look and feel in your application. Let's have a summary. So these are the rules and just some principle in software engineering for a better UI. Consider golden rules when you create UI. Use responsive and adaptive component to have a better performance in any platform. Keep in mind that your users are different, from different country, from different background, from different ethnicity or anything else. Don't hard code anything in your application. These are just, you have to keep in mind all of these rules, and you have the best UI ever in your Flutter application. If you want to learn more, go ahead and check the material tree. And I also have other software engineering blog. It's not about the UI, it's about other software engineering. And you can also check it out in my Medium. And thank you. If you have any question, let me know.
No? No one?
Apart from the material library which we discussed, are there any other popular libraries that are
Design pattern.
that can be
And
supported?
the design pattern is supported by Flutter, is only material and Cupertino. So if you want to have a design pattern, you have to make everything from scratch.
Okay.
You can also have your own design pattern. There are some, for example, there is a team in my country, they made a design pattern and they made a package that has everything, every widget. But I don't recommend those things because design change a lot. You need to have a package that covers every new trend or any UI trend that they come later. So use only Material is the best one, or Cupertino for your iOS side.
Makes sense.
Would you advise against using material design for iOS?
No, it depends on your situation and your company requirement. If your company for me, yes, it's better you have an adaptive application that if I'm on a Mac side, I want to see iOS Cupertino application, because if I go to another application, I see the iOS application. But if the user comes to my application and see the Android application, they don't feel okay about that. So I don't advise anything, but it depends on your company's requirement.
But actually, you have some widgets like loading, the loading slider. They can adapt to the system, so it's better to use the adaptive widgets that Flutter provides you. So
Yeah.
it depends on the system, it will change.
Yeah, Flutter has some basic, for example, switch widget. If you only use the switch.adaptive, it has another constructor that it changes based on the platform. So it's not that difficult to use.
No more?
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.